Alright guys, so this is the one question that we're going to be working on today. We have to complete the explanation for the proof. And they gave us 4 points, okay? Shh. They gave us 4 points and then they said M is the midpoint of PQ and N is the midpoint of RS. And we have to prove that angle PQN is congruent to RSM, right? So then guys, tell me, do you know what you're supposed to do looking at this question right here? You know what? When I was looking at the question, I didn't know what to do. So if you know how to do it, you're amazing, right? But I didn't know. So guess what I did when I first saw this question? I decided I'm going to draw the graph, right? That's why we have to go to GeoGebra, right? So I went to GeoGebra, okay? And what I'm going to do is, I have no idea what the question is talking about. But when I look at the question, I know that they gave me 4 points right here. Okay? So I'm going to plot them. Alright, so there you go. P is at -3, 5. So that means starting from 0, I go to the left by 3. And then I'm going to go up by 5. And now I'm going to click on this because that's what a point is. And then I'm going to just put a point there at -3, 5. But look, here's my problem. Is that supposed to be point A or P? It's supposed to be point P. But then, this one says point A. This is what my awesome student helped me with, right? I didn't know how to change the A into a P, right? So he told me that what I have to do is I gotta use my 2 fingers. His name is Javier, in case you wanna go talk to him, right? And ask him, yes.
Can you just change the P to A?
No. Because you have to learn how to do this. So we're going to use 2 fingers. And then we're going to tap on our mouse pad. And we can click on rename. Isn't that cool? And so erase the A and change it to P. And I had no idea how to do this. Javier taught me today. So everybody go thank Javier today. Okay? So now let's go ahead and find the next point. And the next point is at Q. -1, comma, -1. Guys, I need the volume down. Q is at -1, comma, -1. That means I have to start from 0, go to the left by 1, and go down by 1. So there you go. But it says point A again, but we need point Q. So use 2 fingers. Click on rename. Okay? And then please change it to Q. So now we have Q. Now we're going to go to the next one, R. And R is at 4, 5. So I start from 0, go to the right by 4, and go up by 5. And that is supposed to be R. So use 2 fingers, rename, change it to R. Now let's go to the last one. S is at 2, -1. So start from 0, go to the right by 2, and go down by 1. I know. And then click on rename. And now I'm going to put S. It's because you guys are all talking, so I'm not sure if you're following me or not. Okay, yeah. So there you go. And just so you know, we're recording. This is 6th period. Today they're being loud. Alright, so there you go. So now I have my 4 points, but I don't know what shape it's going to be. I don't know if I'm supposed to like connect everything around or like across. I have no idea. So I'm going to go ahead and continue reading the question. And the question says, M is the midpoint of PQ. What does that tell me, guys? Uh-oh. That tells me that PQ is going to be a segment, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on segment over here. And then I'm going to connect the P and the Q. Alright? But then somebody said it. I said, what does this mean? And you said midpoint means the middle of PQ, right? And that's really cool. And Kevin Lario is the one who taught me this because I didn't know how to find the midpoint over here, right? And this is what he taught me. He said, click on this. And guess what? It says midpoint right here. I didn't even know it. What's wrong with me, right? I got no eyes. So he said click on it. And then you click on the line and bam! The midpoint shows up automatically, right? But we have to change it to what letter? M. So use 2 fingers again. And then click on rename. and then put M. All right? All right, so hold on. After I'm done, I'll come help you, okay? So then now, I want to go back to the question, and it says N is the midpoint of RS. First of all, it tells me that RS is a segment. So I'm going to go click on segment again, and I'm going to go ahead and connect R and S together. And then I have to find the midpoint, and again, Kevin Larius from my second period taught it to me. You click on this one right here, midpoint or center, and then I click on this and bam, the midpoint shows up automatically. And let's use 2 fingers to change the letter because Javier taught me that. And that will be capital N. Yeah, I just click on this one, the midpoint, and then I clicked on the segment. And it just showed up. They do it automatically. So guys, now let's keep going, right? Okay, I know, sweetie. I'll help you in a bit, okay? It's because if the recording is 1 hour long, nobody's going to watch it. Okay? So, yeah. I've been telling you, I recorded you saying, I recorded like saying that you guys are horrible. That you guys are being loud, like right now.
It's Choi!
Okay, come on, let's keep going. Now they're going to be good. So now we have to prove that angle PQN is congruent to RSM. You know what that tells me? I got to find out what angle PQN is, right? So then I have to connect it, PQN. So I need to connect these 2 lines, segments, right? So let's connect it. Because now that's going to give me this angle here, PQN, all right? If I go back to the question, that is congruent to angle RSM. So where is RSM, right? So R, S, and then M. So obviously we need to connect these 2 as well. Because that angle and that angle has to be the same. And you know what? I feel like I'm done with my drawing, right? But then now we have to think about something, right? If I want to prove that this angle and this angle is the same, what do we have to prove? We have to prove that this triangle and that triangle is the same. Which is going to be hard because I don't have coordinates for this one right here, right? Yes.
Are you supposed to finish connecting everything else to the P?
That's the point. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and connect the P and the N and the R and the M because guess what? When I do that, I have enough information to prove that this triangle over here is congruent to the other triangle right here. And when I can prove that, I know that these 2 angles will measure the same, these 2 angles will measure the same, and this angle will measure the same as that one. And I'll be able to prove this, right? So now let's go ahead and take a screenshot and put it in the document, okay? Okay, so now after we did the screenshot, okay, we have to explain how we're going to prove that the 2 angles are congruent to each other. Okay? So we have to actually type it out and explain what we're going to do. And so basically, let me try and make it bigger for you so you can see. For us to prove that the 2 angles are congruent, right, we have to make sure that triangle PQN and RSM are congruent to each other. When 2 triangles are congruent, all 3 corresponding sides and all 3 corresponding angles are congruent. Then we can prove that angles PQN and RSM are congruent. Since we only have coordinates for points and no angle measures, we're going to use the distance formula to prove that 3 sides measure the same. That way we can prove the 2 triangles are congruent by SSS triangle congruence postulate, right? So basically what I want you to do in your own words, this is my own word, but on the test, in your own words, you're going to explain to me how you're going to do this. And then after you explain that, you're going to actually start working. Okay? So there you go. Now, after this, we have to start doing the math. Okay? So I know that you want to spend some time copying, right? So I'll go ahead and give you time for that. Okay? Ready? Okay, guys. So now let's take a look at this. Okay? So now we have to start working on the math, okay? And so here's the math part. When we use GeoGebra, they automatically told us what the midpoint is. So we can kind of cheat. And we know that the midpoint, the coordinate points for M is at -2, 2. And the coordinates for N is at 3, 2. but we can't do that on the test, okay? All right, so what you're gonna do is first use midpoint formula to find coordinates of point M. Okay? So let's do that. In order to find the coordinates of point M, M is right smack in the middle of P and Q. So what formula do we have to use again? I already said it. It's the midpoint formula, right? And we already learned that. So I'm going to go ahead and write the coordinates for P and Q. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use the formula to find point M, right? Okay. And remember we talked about this. You have to add the 2 points for X and then divide it by 2, right? And so you have to click on Insert Equation because you have to put in the division for the division sign. Okay? Then you click on A over B, and then see your cursor is now blinking on top. So you're going to put -3 plus -1, -3 plus -1, and then if you press the arrow button one time, the cursor will be at the bottom, the denominator section. You put 2, click on the arrow button one more time, and then another time, 2 times, and now you're outside. Click on the comma, because that was just for the x coordinate. Now for the y coordinate, again, click on New Equation, A over B, and now you have to go 5 plus -1. Right? So now we just have to calculate, right? -3 plus -1 is -4. Divided by 2 is -2. 5 minus 1 is 4. Divided by 2 is +2. Well, we already knew it because look, we can see it. But we have to mathematically actually show it to people. Okay? So in the same way, we're going to now do the same thing, right? We're going to use the midpoint formula, but we're going to find point N this time. And N was the midpoint for what? For R and S, right? So there you go, RS. Shh. So we're going to go ahead and copy and paste R and S. And let's go ahead and use the midpoint formula to find N. So new equation, okay? And then we're going to go 4 plus 2, okay? Divided by 2. Oh, are you having a hard time because you can't see up here? There you go. Okay. I know, huh? And then, again, that's why we're taking the whole class period with one question, right? 5 plus -1 over 2. Okay? And then we're going to calculate now. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. And so we already know N is at 3, 2 because we see it right here, 3, 2. Okay? Now, what do you think we have to do next since we now know the coordinates for M and N? What do we have to do now, guys? Yes, now we have to use the distance formula to find all 6 sides. You gotta find the length of this one, this one, this one, this one, that one, and this one. So you gotta use the distance formula 6 times, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. Okay? Alright. Shh. I'm typing it just myself. Okay? So, there you go. Shh. So now we have to use segment length. Okay, guys? Yes. So, We have to compare triangle PQN and RSN. So I'm going to put over here triangle. What was the first triangle? The first triangle PQN. And then the next triangle is going to be RSN, right? And then within triangle PQM, we have segment PQ, and then we gotta find segment PM, then we gotta find segment QM, right? And then within triangle RSN, we gotta find segment RS, then segment RN, then segment SN. Okay? And gosh, what is all this stuff, Miss Choi? Alright, so let's just go one step at a time. I'm only going to go ahead and find the segment length of PQ with you. Okay? And everything else, you gotta do it yourself. Okay? So we have to use the distance formula. So we're going to say D equals, okay? And then we have to use the square root. I know this is really annoying. I feel the same way. Open up your parentheses, right? But to find segment PQ, we gotta have the coordinates for P and Q, right? Don't give up yet. Don't give up yet. Believe it or not, it's gonna be so easy once you're done with it. So here you go. I have points P and Q, and then I'm going to put it in my formula, right? So x sub 2, which is -1, minus -3, and then you gotta square it, right? And then plus, and then y sub 2, I know, is -1, minus, and then y sub 1 is 5, close parentheses, and then you gotta square it. Right? So then now there you go. D equals what? The square root of these two becomes positive, so 3 minus 1 is 2, squared is 4, plus, this is -6, so -6 squared is 36, right? And so that gives you, okay, D equals, yeah, square root of 40. Okay?
I got it.
Good job. So, shh. Now we know that PQ is equal to what? Square root of 40. Okay? So now we found 1. But now you gotta do the same for PM and QM. And then for triangle RSN, you gotta do the same thing for all these segments. But I'm not gonna do that for you right now. And then you'll find out that each of the segments are going to be the same in length, right? So then you gotta write your final sentence on your test saying, thank you. Okay.
Oh my god. No, thank you, Miss Choi. If I
So there you go. And this is how I want you to finish it up. Guys, I didn't use the distance formula for any of the other segments. Please make sure you do that. And I expect this, okay? All right, thank you for paying attention. Happy learning.